Hi, I want to welcome you to this video that teaches you how to color your bullet journal doodles like a complete professional. I'm going to cover 5 techniques that are my particular favourites and that I use all of the time, as well as my favourite tools for the job. I want you to grab a piece of just scrappy scratch paper where you can record the numbers of the pencils that you're going to use. I tend to use 3 shades of each colour whenever I'm shading. I also like to use a tub pencil sharpener, which is great for getting very sharp points on your pencils, as you can see here. Okay, these are my favourite pencils. They are by Prismacolor, and these are the tools that I was showing you just before. First, we are going to start by adding thin layers. Now this is what we call going light to dark, because it's much easier to add than it is to remove. So layering is the first technique to make your colouring pop. The second technique is going to be called pressured shading. Now I like to use a pressured shading whenever I am doing the edges of the banners or the shape, and also anywhere where shading would be. I also like to darken these shaded areas by using a slightly darker shade of my colour, and use pressured shading for that as well. And then in the really dark shadows I use an even darker shade of that colour. And now I am going to finish it off by using the lightest colour again and doing pressured shading using a technique called light over dark to blend the colours, which is what I did on the dark shadows, and pressured shading here on the outside of the banner. So in this banner we've covered 3 techniques, which is layers, pressured shading, and blending with light over dark. Now we're moving on to the heart and using the lightest shade of pink. Again, we're going to be using layers and pressured shading quite a lot. This is going to be the first layer of colour. I will add maybe 3 or 4 layers of the lightest pink and then move on to the middle shade to start creating shadows on the edges of the heart. Here we are with the middle shade, adding a darker pressured colour to the edges of the heart and really all over to make it just a little bit darker, but using light pressure so that it's not too dark. So I'm going to use another technique on this heart, and I am going to blend with dark over light in a minute whenever we get to that part of the shading around the edges. It's important to build up the colours. Now the next technique I'm going to show you is using the Colorless Blender, which really, whenever you are using it to blend, it ideally will remove any white spots and create an even film over the top to make sure that your colour is blended. Now here is the blending with dark over light. Again, as I said, using 3 shades of really the one colour. This is the Colorless Blender I was talking about. Now I'm actually not a huge fan of the Colorless Blender, as it has quite a hard tip. It's made of a harder material than the Prismacolor pencils, which are lovely and soft, so I prefer to do my blending with the different shades of pencils normally, and that's a white pencil, which is what you'll see next. And I will go over the colourless blending with the white pencil as well. And as you can see, this is probably one of the most used pencils that I have of the Prismacolors. They just make the colours blend beautifully. And they are expensive pencils, but they are absolutely worth it. Now the last technique to make your colouring in pop, or your doodles pop, is by adding a contrasting colour to the outside of your shape. Now we are going to be adding very light layers at this time, and then using pressured shading around the very edges to make it really stand out, which is what you're going to see. I like to limit my colour palettes to 3 colours whenever I am working on any doodles. At the most 4 or 5, because things can get a little bit messy, but Now all you need to do is blend here, blend, and voila, you're done. And now I want to see all of your colourful bullet journal layouts in the comments below.